Ladies and gents, welcome back. So are you an analog player who's looking to switch over to digital? Here are a couple things you ought to know. Who better to explain this than my good buddy, Grant MacKenzie from Jupiter Hollow.
Howdy.
Before we get into this, I would like to take a moment to shout out our sponsor, GTHIC. GTHIC is a jewelry company that specializes in high-quality stainless steel rings, bracelets, and other accessories. They offer a wide variety of designs from a wide range of themes, including ancient Egyptian, Viking, Christian, Masonic, pretty much a little bit of everything on there, to be honest. I strongly encourage you to come check out their catalog. The link is in the description below. And that's not all. If you use the promo code Dillon20 at checkout, you can save 20% off your order and you'll be directly helping this channel grow. So what are you waiting for? Come check out what GTHIC has to offer you today. And now, the video you're all here for. So maybe you have maybe just a couple of analog pedals, or maybe you have a full-blown board like I do, and you're looking to switch over to digital. There are a few things you're gonna need to know going into it. And we're gonna go over the pros and cons of switching from analog to digital. So let's dive right in. I guess the first pro of switching from analog to digital is that you can get a very wide range of tones for a very reasonable price. And you've got the Quad Cortex, right?
Got the Quad Cortex. I've had it now for about over a year, I'd say.
Yeah, you switched over that from what was that you had? Wasn't a diesel, was it?
No,
Was
so I ran
EDH?
No, actually, since I started music, I've always run with analog gear. I started out with a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, 2-channel, and then from there I ended up...
Oh, a dual rec, that's what it was.
Yeah. I have a EVH cab, 2x12, so I still use that to this day, but I had a pedal board and everything, the biggest board you could get for the Pedal Train series.
Oh, yeah.
And everything from the Boss ES8 switcher to, you know, MIDI controlled delay pedals and what have you.
Yeah, but all that, like if you're talking about putting that all on an analog board, that's probably going to cost an arm and a leg over time.
Yeah, the just the Boss ES8 alone cost probably more than half of what that Quad Cortex would cost on its own, and that's just to control the pedals switching in MIDI. So that just kind of goes to show, and it was like that one unit alone was bigger than a Quad Cortex, and its only purpose was to control pedals. So
okay.
Yeah. So you save on a lot of weight and space, and the biggest issue I kind of noticed, or at least what I like, because I'm kind of obsessed with gear and tone and consistency. So,
welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly. So I really didn't like how when you open your bag on a show or something like that, and the knobs are all changed, and you have to put the tape and make sure all the knobs are correctly, or maybe you have to troubleshoot an issue like why is the signal not running clean, and then you realize maybe a cable's unplugged through traveling or broken. Or maybe you have your noise suppressor set perfectly, but then you wish it died off a little less and tapped in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the whole noise suppressor thing. That's pretty easy to get around with analog. I've got the SMG cock blocker down there, which
nice.
It goes through my effects loop. So basically, because it's going through your effects loop, it'll keep the sustain while cutting off the threshold there.
Yeah, it cleans up kind of the back end fuzz that the amp produces, I find.
But I don't lose a lot of the sustain in the process, whereas like with a lot of digital noise gates, it just kind of like cuts right off. And that's something I find really annoying jamming on DSP plugins,
yeah,
to be honest.
I used to use the ISP decimator, which is probably number 2 is called. But that was probably the best one I used for analog gear. It seemed to, like, from the clean to the dirty channel, it seemed to know how to react harder and softer, and it also connected into the loop and the front end. But with the Quad Cortex, you can per patch adjust the level of the strength of it, and the signal is just so clean with the Quad Cortex because it's straight into digital, right? So it's just being great being able to have that much control and know every night it's going to be the same settings and consistent. When we're talking pros and cons, I actually can't think of any cons of using a modeler. It just seems, I was analog through and through for everything. There's nothing that I was kind of against it at the beginning, switching to digital, but the more with Jupiter Hollow that we got building our production and doing more shows and recording, to be able to take what's in the studio dialed in and bring it to the stage and connect to the front of house directly and also run it through a Seymour Duncan power stage.
Yeah, that actually brings us to our second point, which is portability. The ability to have like all those tonal options in such a small package. That's going to be very handy for like bringing, like you said, bringing it into a studio, bringing it live. You don't have to worry about like carrying like a big ass pedal board like that.
Yeah.
It gets pretty heavy, and especially if you're bringing an amp too. Like I know with my band Night Tripper, I actually have another amp that I just keep at my bandmate's place just for that.
Yeah, well, it's true. Like in a live set, I use 3 different amps that are modeled in 2 different cab models. So if you were to do that on a live stage, you'd really have 2 cabs stacked and then 3 heads that all weigh probably 50 pounds. So it's just, and the thing weighs like nothing. It's like a
and with the Quad Cortex, you could always just plug it into like directly into the PA system.
Yeah, so
depending on the venue, right?
Yeah, no, I run it a few different chains. I run a direct stereo, which is another thing. It's so easy to do stereo with the delays and stuff. I run it direct, and then for our in-ear monitors, it's also a direct signal, so it's no outside noise. And then I also run a signal from the Quad Cortex bypassing the cab section, so I can run to my power amp, which powers my 2x12 cab.
Okay.
Got to keep that stage volume for the real vibes, you know.
This would be a good way to illustrate those 2 points. This is my very first pedal. This is an old GTHIC RP, or no, yeah, the RP90. It's
Still has the price tag on it.
Yeah, still has the price tag. I was too nostalgic to take it off. This is basically the only pedal that I ever needed when I was like 13 or 14, and it had like a very wide variety of tones. I mean, they weren't the best tones, but they were great for a beginner because like it was all in one package and gave me quite a bit of diversity. And I wanted to lead into my third point with this: the ability to very quickly change from preset to preset with just one tap of a button. I mean, you could do that with analog, but it's quite a process getting it set up that way, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what I use that Boss ES8 I was referring to. It's that big unit. It's called an effect switcher. So
right.
Everything plugs into a loop, and then it kind of replicates what this is saving presets of what's on, what's off.
Right, but you'd have to really know what you're doing building a pedal board in order to like get it like that, whereas something like this or like a digital interface would be a little more beginner friendly in that regard.
It takes a lot of time, a lot more money, and it's a lot more weight. So it's definitely a bit of a hustle to get the ES8 set up, but it's a great unit, but it doesn't compare to the Quad Cortex or other digital models in my experience. And one of the first things I did when I got my Quad Cortex was clone my real amp before I sold it.
Oh yeah, because you can actually like clone amps with that thing.
Yeah, it's like a Kemper but better, and the similarity was unnoticeable. The difference, it literally was like it was like Elon Musk uploading his brain to the cloud. It's like you just capture the essence of it digitally, and it's just like
so it's a very easy process basically.
Yeah, it just plays some weird sounds through it. And
is it a process a beginner could figure out with like just a couple minutes of tinkering around, or do you really have to know what you're doing with that?
No, it walks you right through it. The only thing you need is you'd need like a load box, something that can take the load from the amp, so you can plug directly into it. And then, but yeah, it just walks you through just a few connections and off it goes. So, or unless you mic'd up a cab, and you can capture the impulse response as well. So.
Oh yeah.
But it's an amazing unit. It's just like you buy one amp, like say you wanted to buy a diesel that's $5,000 for a head. Meanwhile, the unit itself might be $2,500, and you have every amp in the world. So
oh yeah. What did you pay for your Quad Cortex?
I think it was around just around the $2,000 mark.
Yeah, and you got it used too, didn't you?
No, I got it brand new.
Brand new. Okay. So yeah, sounds about right. And another plus that I find with digital, and this is especially true with Neural DSP plugins, is that they're very mix friendly. Like you could plug directly into an audio interface and just capture the signal without having to worry about room acoustics or like playing all that guesswork with the mics. Like this is especially true if you're just getting into recording guitars. This can be a very handy thing to know.
Yeah, and the cab selection they have on the Quad Cortex is phenomenal. Like some of the best amps and speakers you could use. But then what I use actually for my lead is like not sponsored or anything, but Nolly Get Good from Get Good Drums. He has like an amp pack of like the vintage 30s, the massive series. So that's
I use his drum packs all the time for my recordings and stuff.
Yeah, so that
very handy to have.
Takes the guesswork out. You know, you have a professional engineer who already found the best speakers, the best cabs, the best mics, and he captured the best quality. So it's kind of like, again, people just made it so easy to get the best tones right out of the box.
Now let's move on to some of the cons of going to digital. The first and the most important one I can think of is that it just doesn't sound the same. Especially if you're talking about like the response of it. You're gonna lose a lot of that percussiveness, I find. And like when you're dealing with digital, there's always that latency going on, which might exist for some analog pedals, but nowhere near the extent of digital, where there's always going to be that.
In my experience, I actually would counter all of that.
Really?
Yeah, I've experienced no latency. I've compared the amps and maybe like some digital units, like the older ones, but the newest ones, like the Quad Cortex, you can't tell the difference from the amps from real to fake in A/B tests, and there's no latency. The feel is like
exact.
But
while you're playing it though, like, do you notice a difference in?
No, not at all.
Like, I guess it's weird for me to explain.
I've had it for like 2 years, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. I actually have that practical experience. So I guess it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess the Quad Cortex is a little more of a fancier unit. I was kind of thinking the difference between the MT15 that I have and the DSP plugins. Like,
right.
This is especially noticeable with DSP plugins.
Oh yeah, when you're using an interface like in a DAW, there can definitely be latency you have to counter for, but when there's like a hardware unit, it's pretty much eliminated.
Yeah, I should have specified that. Another plus that I find with analog, as opposed to digital, is you can pay as you go. Like, you can just build your board as you go. You can buy as much of your board as you want and just go from there. Whereas like a digital interface like a Quad Cortex or an AXFX or something like that, it's going to be a very big initial cost. Like you said, $2,000, right?
Yeah, but also one piece of gear could be $2,000 for just one piece of analog. You know, whereas with the Quad, you get everything in the world for that price.
But yeah, I'm just looking at my board right here. Like I paid like maybe like $200 to $300 per pedal, and I just kind of built that as I went, as my needs progressed.
Definitely more budget friendly if you're just starting out, or
if you're just starting out, yes.
Building up that process.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually at my Guitar Tech's place a little while ago. He showed me a pedal board that he was building where he wanted to capture the like all the best things about a digital interface with none of the drawbacks, like the loss of like feel or whatnot, or if that makes sense. I mean,
yeah, it's good comparison. It's cool to see those. You always want to test how far the technology's really come to be able to actually capture the feel and sound.
But building that board, like he said, didn't come cheap. Like, he paid, I think, $300 just for the cables alone.
Oh yeah.
And I think he was actually building those cables from scratch too. So like, if he actually used pre-built cables, it might have cost him more.
Yeah, well, another thing with the Quad Cortex is there's like, for example, an analog pedal, the Klon, I think it is. It's like a $10,000 distortion pedal.
Oh, is that the Centaur you're
The Centaur, yeah. But
yeah, those are crazy expensive.
But you could go to a music shop, rent it for like $100 or $50, and then you can just clone the pedal in the Quad Cortex. You can capture pedals too, so it's like you can literally get like, and people have already done it. You can just download it for free. So it's literally like. It's almost like what LimeWire was for, or Pirate Bay for music. It's like now it's like this expensive gears.
Or emulators for like old games that are selling for outrageous prices these days.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember going to a hot shop a little while ago, and I saw Pokemon Crystal complete in box, and they were asking $650 for it.
Holy cow!
Yeah. But if you're comparing it to emulators, that's kind of the thing. Like, you can actually play the game. I mean, it's going to be different, obviously, but you'll still be able to play the game without hurting your wallet.
Yeah, that's a real life experience. Just like the the Neve console boards that are like worth millions of dollars, you can actually get a digital plug-in version that's identical for like $100. So it's everything's just going digital, it seems, and even AI is a good representation of what AI can do, which like so quick in it.
Hey ChatGPT, write me a new Jupiter Hollow song.
Good luck with that. It's not that smart. But yeah, it's like technology is just being able to do things that humans or technology would take thousands of dollars of skill and time and effort to create. But now it's just everything's at our fingertips now, and it's like I'm kind of just on board with it. I'm on board to take the benefits of digital. It's just it's been an amazing switch.
Now, is there anything you miss about analog?
Well, I love gear, so it was nice having the pedals. I took pride in my pedals for sure, and being a nerd with all that stuff was really, I love going to the music shop, searching out the pedal, looking up all the pedal reviews on YouTube, like just the whole culture and experience around it.
Oh yeah.
Just like you're talking about the games, the emulator versus, there's something about the old games of blowing it out and sticking it in the antenna and going around the old TV with the old controllers, and just I'd say definitely just that aspect. But again, I just since I switched, it's just so nice having everything in a box, and I just like the convenience of it. It sounds the same, it feels the same.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I just think as musicians, we're always chasing tone, and it always seems like this endless process, but I think digital modelers allow us to get one step closer to finding our dream tones and having the ultimate ability to craft that to our desired destination and outcome. And I couldn't recommend it enough. I would probably never go back to analog. And I used to be pro analog, and not that there's anything wrong with it, I think it's great, but digital just works for the touring musician, the studio musician, and it's an exciting time to be in the music world, having this kind of gear. Because we didn't have it when we started out. It was just everything was analog. It's cool to experience the rise of the machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I actually remember, I think it was during COVID when I first started like really getting into recording, when I really took off with my solo project and like my channel here. One real game changer I found was Archetype Noli when I first tried it out. It was very handy to have for recording, especially since I didn't know a whole lot about how to properly mic up an amp at the time. I mean, I do now, but at the time, my guitar tone sounded not the best until I gave Nolly a try.
Yeah, and kind of to the point of that, which is a nice, exciting thing about digital and modeling, is the ability to get your favorite artist's tones exactly out of the box. Like, before, if you wanted to sound like Slash or Dimebag Darrell, some of you'd have to buy their amp, buy their guitar, buy all their pedals and their cabs. But now it's like if they use it, you can literally just download or buy the exact preset of what they use on tour.
Or the preset will already be in the plugin, because I remember I just recently got Archetype Gojira X, and they had some presets from like quite a few Gojira songs. Like they actually had the lean tone from Silvera to sound exactly like the lead tone from Silvera.
Pretty cool. I found in my experience, like when you listen to an album and you try to match the tone, it's like you're hearing it in a mix and stuff, and I always found it so amazing to like actually hear and get the feel of like that raw tone and see what settings they use. And it's like, oh wow, it's like sometimes it surprises you, like, oh, I didn't expect it to be that saturated or that low gain, but because in a mix, when everything's blended, it might sound bigger than it actually is. It's isolated and stuff. So it's a cool experience just to be able to almost feel like you walked on stage in an arena and just get plugged into your favorite artist's rig and get to play it. So that's kind of the experience you can get with a modeler.
Until, software update, where I have to shut down the computer to do that.
Yeah, so that's cool, and it seems like it's opening up a lot of opportunities for artists to have signature models of things, like a signature amp plugin is now the new phase instead of a signature amp.
The barrier for entry is getting lower and lower and lower for musicians as time goes on.
Yeah, so
especially when you're like trying to market yourself as a musician, back like 20, 30 years ago, you had to like play ball with all the record labels, whereas now, as you probably well know, you can very easily do that independently.
I wouldn't say very easily, but definitely easier than you could.
Way easier than like 20, 30 years ago. I mean, yeah, there's still that curve, but it's very possible to do that on your own.
You know, what I've learned from having a modeler is you think having the best gear in the world might make you a better player or a better songwriter, but at the end of the day, the tone comes from the fingers, dedication, and persistence with your mastering your craft, and it's just a tool used to help propel that forward. So no tone in the world, analog or digital, will make you a better player or make you sound better per se. It's all about you as the artist.
Exactly. You're not gonna be playing the Silvera tone. Like, even if the tone's the same, if you haven't practiced, it's not gonna sound like Silvera.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it. Those are the pros and cons of going digital. So are you an analog or a digital guy? And what's your preference? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to follow me for more exciting content, because there's a lot more coming down the pipe in the near future.
Check out Jupiter Hollow, woo!
Yes, definitely check out Jupiter Hollow. Their new single, Cohesion, is in the comments below. So go check it out. You are not going to be disappointed.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. It's always good to see you, and I think it's time to shut this video down and go play some zombies or something.
Yeah, you know it. Oh.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. We keep that up.
Okay, we're going in and then a bang. Okay. All right. Well,
you know what? I'm just gonna replace it with that clip from Predator.
Dillon! You son of a bitch.
Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.